अच्छे कार्य का विरोध होता है, वैसे ही वक्फ संशोधन विधेयक पर भी ये हो हल्ला हो रहा है। व्यक्तिगत स्वार्थ का ये अड्डे बने हुए हैं, चंद लोगों के लिए लूट खसोट के अड्डे बने हुए हैं।
अगर आप हमारी मस्जिदों को, दरगाहों को, जो अल्लाह के नाम पे प्रॉपर्टी वक्फ कर दी गई है, उससे अगर आप हमको महरूम कर रहे हैं, तो फिर जाहिर है ये तो हमारे लिए बड़ा इमोशनल और बड़ी तकलीफदेह बात रहेगी।
इस बिल से ऐसा लगता है कि एक ही मजहब को निशाना बनाया जा रहा है।
जिस तरह के संशोधन भारतीय जनता पार्टी कर रही है, वो पूरा कंट्रोल अपने पास चाहते हैं।
कुछ लोग तो लगे हुए हैं कम्युनल कुएं से कांस्पिरेसी का काकरोच निकाल करके और देश भर में जो है वो एक माहौल खराब करने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं, उसको सफल नहीं है।
तो हम लोग इस बिल को लेकर के एकदम क्लियर हैं कि किसी भी कीमत पे हम लोग इसको बर्दाश्त नहीं करेंगे।
We have asked for a comprehensive discussion on the Waqf Amendment Act. Our views are not being listened to.
हम तो बराबर डिबेट में हिस्सा लेंगे, अमेंडमेंट्स भी मूव करेंगे।
Government is very honestly and keenly looking forward to have a proper discussion on Waqf Amendment Bill.
Gentlemen, a very good evening and welcome to what many are saying is a seismic showdown unfolding in Bharat's Parliament. Now tomorrow, that is April the 2nd, you'll have the Waqf Amendment Bill that is going to be hitting the floor. It's already being branded as progressive by the government, yet very fiercely opposed by the opposition parties, also the critics. What they've decided now at the end of a meeting is that they will block it. They will never allow this to become a reality is what they all say. But think of this, from the CAA to the UCC to even triple talaq, all these reforms have sparked huge firestorms. Now there are also whispers of a misinformation campaign that have begun to swirl. Who's threatened by a cleanup of the Waqf board? Whose power crumbles if the community takes real control? And real control, I mean. Decades ago, you would recall there was a Sachar committee. Now, that very Sachar committee, ladies and gentlemen, had flagged some glaring mismanagement in the Waqf board. Yet, nothing moved. No one did anything to fix all that. We are asking how will Bharat then push for bold reforms if every step, every move is stonewalled? We are cutting through the noise tonight. First, as always, our straight questions. The first straight question, the Waqf Amendment Bill, is it about curbing religious freedom, as a lot of people are now saying, or this is a long overdue land reform, because this is also about the control of the land. The second straight question, ladies and gentlemen, the inclusion of non-Muslims on the boards. This is being called a quote-unquote an attack on their autonomy. Is that a fair charge? What do you think? We'll find out. The third straight question, the bill empowers Muslim women and the marginalized groups. The question we are asking, who really are those people who are resisting these reforms tonight? The fourth straight question, who benefits from a status quo of the Waqf management? If nothing changes and everything remains the same, who benefits? The final question on the news night tonight, the Sachar committee had flagged Waqf mismanagement and they said that things need to change. But then, who will fix it? Does anyone even want to fix it? Clearly, these are questions that need answers, and to answer those questions, to help you understand and to declutter everything, because this is not just about the voting and a lot of debate, discussion that will happen in the Parliament starting tomorrow. But ladies and gentlemen, it's also about a broader question about reforms, about appeasement and a lot more. So this is Newsnight's Deep Dive. So when we talk of a deep dive, it's important now to look at bit by bit of this entire contentious issue. What really is the problem? What is it that all sides are saying? And what is it that you must know that must not get lost in the din of a lot of this cacophony that you hear elsewhere? So let's bring up details for you to understand as we will unravel this story bit by bit. Now, there are two ways to look at this. There are some people who say this is divisive. There are some who say this is decisive, and that is why it's important to get it through. Now, the existing act says that the Waqf Tribunal is the arbiter on any claim of land, only the Waqf Tribunal. But then what is the amendment now? The amendment says that the final decision will rest with the district collector. Is that good? Is that bad? I'll let you decide. Let's quickly get you our next big important detail when it comes to the existing act versus the amendment. The existing act, ladies and gentlemen, says that there are 3 MPs from the Muslim community who will be in the panel that is a part of a lot of this control of the decision making. Now, what has been the amendment that has been proposed in this bill? These 3 MPs included could also be non-Muslims. It is not important for them just to be Muslims. Only the religious identity of a person will not guarantee them a seat on the panel. Good or bad, again, the jury is still out. This brings us to our next existing versus the amendment feature here. The Waqf can actually claim properties that are considered pious. It can tell anyone that this is a land that is pious, it belongs to the Waqf, so you need to completely vacate this. Now, what has happened in the amendment is that the government land cannot be deemed as the Waqf land. That is absolutely clear, unequivocally. This brings us to another big contention that you have seen as far as this entire issue is concerned. Waqf by use. This, remember, again, is a term, and this is a particular clause in the existing act that gives the board the authority to decide on a lot of things when it comes to arbitration and about claiming control of a particular land. Now, the amendment says that the audit of any such Waqf land will take place by a CAG, that is a Comptroller Auditor General appointee. Again, should there be a problem to this? Should there be a resistance to this? Let's quickly move on to get you more details about how this story will move and what really are the other layers, the other nuances of this entire story that you must know. We'll get them again now up on your screens here. And this is the larger story of what is the problem all about. What is it that the government says? What is it that a lot of the Muslim groups right now are saying? Now, the government says very clearly that these are reforms that are meant to empower the marginalized Muslims. Not the Muslims who are rich, not the Muslims who are on top of the strata, but people who are marginalized, who need a lot of that push to get up in that strata to improve their living standards. Now, what the Muslims groups say to that very contention is that the bill is a direct assault, a direct attack on the Muslims. That is the counter charge. This brings us to the next big statement that you have seen as far as its entire war of words is concerned. The government says that Muslim community leaders and the bodies have been thoroughly consulted. There has been a JPC that has made the entire effort to reach out to a lot of people from the community. To this, you have the Muslim bodies who have another version. They say that 0 consultations have taken place. They say no one has spoken to us, you're not speaking to the right stakeholders. This is the government acting arbitrary, is the charge. Let's bring up more details also on where we've seen this entire controversy brewing. The government says that this is a bill specifically wanting to give rights to those who never got them. Again, people who are marginalized, whether this is about women or specific groups in the community that have always been lagging behind. To this, again, you have a charge by the different Muslim groups who say, and this is a big charge, they say that the bill, ladies and gentlemen, is designed to usurp the Waqf properties. The idea is to take away everything we have. The idea is to make us landless. The idea is to target us. This is what the rhetoric so far has been. But then let's get you more details as far as the entire story is concerned. The government says that nothing doing. This will not tantamount to any kind of interference in the freedom of religious bodies. That is not the larger intention of this amendment bill. What does the Muslim group say about this? They say the government is intruding religious freedom of the minorities. So time and again you would see that the fact that this is a bill that is about a particular community is being reiterated again and again and again. But what is the truth? Like I said, this is also about the land reforms and a lot more. So let's get you more details now of what we have seen as far as the charge, counter-charge, and a lot of other politics of this is also concerned. And I will also look at one more detail before I get us a panel of guests joining us. Now, what are the contentious features of this entire Waqf Act? Now, you must look at particular sections. And ladies and gentlemen, we are deep diving into certain details because this will give you a full holistic view of what the real problem is. If you read at what Section 3 says, Section 3 says we allow the Waqf board to claim land if they believe that that belongs to a Muslim without needing proof. So they can come and tell you that whatever is the piece of land that you have your property on is a land that belongs to the Waqf. They do not need to give you any proof. And that is why this is contentious. This brings us to our next section now. That's going to go up on your screens. This is the much debated Section 6. Section 6 again says that the aggrieved parties have just 1 year to appeal claims on the land and assets before the Waqf board. So they give you a timeline that in case you do not agree with what the tribunal has decided to do, you just have 1 year, just 365 days to put out an appeal. Again, is this good or bad? Is this in the spirit of law? The jury is still out on that. This brings us to our next section that again has seen a lot of debate on. This is Section 40. This places the burden of proof on the landowners to be able to contest the Waqf claim. So the Waqf board does not need to prove anything. If you own that piece of land, you need to be fighting your own case. And that, many people said, is nothing short of being bizarre. So those are the many, many contentions that you see to another one. This is Section 85. What does that say? It says decisions by the Waqf tribunals are final. It absolutely, ladies and gentlemen, cannot be contested in higher courts. Now, for any other case, you would recall you have a district court, you have a higher court, you have the Supreme Court. But here the deal is that whatever decision are taken by the tribunal, they are binding, they are final, and they can absolutely not be contested in higher courts. Something again and again that many people say and allege are loopholes of the entire case that need to be fixed up. So let's quickly now look at where do different people stand on the entire issue. Are there those people who are opposing reforms tonight for the sake of reforms? Because this is a reform being brought in by the BJP, or there is real merit in the entire story about the fact that the religious autonomy of the community is being attacked. Let's say good evening to our panel of guests joining us. We'll have them up on our screens. I do see Asif Bhamla, who's representing the BJP on the panel, and also Khalid Rashid, Firangi Mehliji, who's an Islamic scholar and member of the All India Muslim Personal Law Board. Just a little later, and I must tell you, we'll open this up also to the TDP and also the MIM. Waris Pathan is going to join us in just a moment. But gentlemen, thank you for your time and thank you for joining us. I have to ask Asif you one question. People say that if, you really wanted this move to take place, they are questioning the timing. There has been a BJP government for the last 10 years. Why did you wait for 10 years if this was such an important, reform that had to be undertaken? Why did you wait so long? You'll have to unmute yourself, Asif.
There are various other bills. There were various other significant issues in larger interests of the development of the countries which have been passed and which have been approved in larger interests of the development of the state. Now, you can't particularly per se ask ke ye aapne ab kyun kiya aur tab kyun nahi kiya, tab kyun kiya aur ab kyun nahi kiya. It's a policy decision. It's a strategic move of the government. Now, coming back to the issue, it is the prerogative of the government कि भाई now is the right time. Now what I want to say is that this is not the first time. देखिए problem ये है कि हमारे कंट्री में जो इंडिया अलायंस है सो कॉल ये हताश हो गया. इनके पास कोई विषय और इशू है नहीं. मुसलमानों को वर्गलन, देखिए हिंदुओं का और मेजॉरिटीज का तो सहयोग इन्हें है नहीं क्योंकि वो अब इन पे भरोसा करते नहीं है. अब मुसलमान भी एतबार करने लगा है भारतीय जनता पार्टी पर, क्योंकि कहीं ना कहीं उन्हें ये लगता है कि केवल और केवल जो ये इंडिया अलायंस की जो सरकारें हैं और पार्टियां हैं, ये केवल टोपियां पहनाकर और खजूर खिलाने तक की महदूद रही, विकास की बात नहीं करती। जो हमारे प्रदेश के प्रधानमंत्री कहते हैं कि अखिलियत का और आज का मुसलमान वो कि जिसके हाथ में एक हाथ में कुरान हो और एक हाथ में कंप्यूटर हो। तो जाहिलात को वाबस्ता रखने के लिए और कौम को बरगलाने के लिए अब इनके पास तो कोई विषय है नहीं। आप देखो, जब सीए एनआरसी आ गया, अरे भाई आपकी तो नागरिकता छीन जाएगी, आप लोग तो हताश हो जाओगे, शाहीन बाग में आपने ये करना चाहिए, वही कर रहे हैं, दोबारा यही बरगलाने का काम कर रहे हो। सुनिए, let me tell you this, they have been doing, where is this 1 year this happened? किस मुसलमान का, किस अकलियत के मेरे भाई का, मैं भी एक मुसलमान हूँ, किस अकलियत के मेरे भाई का नागरिकता छीन गई है? और अगर छीन गई तो सबसे पहले मैं एक भारतीय जनता पार्टी का एक सदस्य होने के नाते
Asif very passionately putting out his points tonight. अब खालिद रशीद जी,
why are you?
Yes.
My simple point of submission is this, that देखिए, आप अपनी सियासी रोटियां सेकने के लिए कौम का इस्तेमाल न करें।
ठीक है, कौन सियासी रोटियां सेक रहा है आसिफ? रुकिएगा, let's get everyone a word. We listen to all sides. I appreciate your passion, Asif. Allow me a moment. Yes, let me get in Khalid Rashid. Yes, let me get in Khalid Rashid. He's been patiently waiting.
You want to peddle your agenda in
ठीक है। खालिद रशीदी जी, मुझे ये बताइए ना, अब आसिफ ने एक स्ट्रेट सवाल आपसे पूछा है। एक तो मुझे बताइए, who does the All India Muslim Personal Law Board think that they are, that they can speak on behalf of the entire community? What have you done for the upliftment of the community? And is it not true that the Sachar committee itself, had spoken about a lot of this mismanagement? Did you people try to fix it? Did you do anything about it? Why? Because you are not concerned about the plight of the ordinary Muslims.
First of all, I must congratulate you that you are in about 12 minutes. You have shown both the side of the picture as far as the Waqf or the proposed Waqf Amendment Bill is concerned. Your TV, I think, your channel has very clearly bring forth the clear picture why we are opposing these proposed amendments and what are these amendments for. As far as Personal Law Board is concerned, Personal Law Board is a true representative body of the Indian Muslims, and in our Personal Law Board, there are a number of Islamic scholars, and along with Islamic scholars, we have retired judges and leading advocates and social activists and economists, which are members of Personal Law Board. We have a number of women members also. So, as far as representation is concerned, if you will cover any of our public meeting, you must have covered a number of public meeting, you will get your answer. As far as the proposed amendment are concerned, Personal Law Board have in very detail have given a written statement and written all the objections to the before the JPC.
I am just intervening here because, like you appreciated the fact that we've put out all sides of the story. We've put out the charge versus the counter charge. And I'll also say good evening to Waris Pathan, who tends to get impatient very quickly, Waris, so don't do that. You're on Newsnight, you're making your debut on the Newsnight, and it's time to be patient, to listen to all sides and answer some direct questions. So I'll take Waris, first up, Rashid ji, and uske baad I'm going to come to you. Waris Pathan, do you think this is about, a particular community, or this is about land reforms? Are you okay with the land grabbing? Are you okay with, Muslim women not being given a seat at the table? Are you okay with the Sachar committee also pointing out to tons of this mismanagements that never got fixed?
Well, to begin with, we outrightly reject the Waqf Amendment Bill introduced by the BJP government. The BJP is per se, the Waqf Amendment Bill which they have brought is per se illegal. It is unconstitutional. It is violation of Articles 14, 24, 25, 26 of the Constitution. Now, the amendments which they have brought in are clear. The intention of the BJP are mala fide. They want to usurp the property belonging to the Muslims, the Waqf property. They mala fide it. See, if an Hindu endowment board, you cannot have Muslims or a non-Hindu, then why do you want to have a non-Muslim in the Waqf board? And they are spreading lies that if the tribunal passes an order, you cannot do anything. No, sir. If the tribunal passes an order and if you are aggrieved by the order, you can very well go in revision. What about the work by user? They have removed that. What about the limitation period? They're also for us, we is not for them. So I say that this is illegal. And now All India Muslim Personal Law Board has taken out a website and they've asked for objections to be raised. Whosoever objection can. And you won't believe crores of Muslims, almost all the entire country, people from the country have said that we reject the bill. Now there are protests going on in the country against the bill. If the Muslims don't want this bill to be introduced, then why is Modi after getting it? Why does he want to say? They say that we want to protect the Waqf land. And we will protect it ourselves. No, the intention is not to protect the Waqf land, but the intention is to usurp the Waqf property itself. Now what they will do? They want a SDM or a collector to interfere into our matters. So tell me, which collector or the SDM will say that no, this property is not proper? Again, we will go against the government. Nobody will go against the government. They are again working for the government, so they will so this is under litigation. They will try to usurp this property as well. So why do the government want to introduce? And when the JPC was introduced by the government, that time our party president Asad Owaisi was a member of it. He has written certain dissent notes against the Waqf bill. They had truncated it. Most of the points in the dissent notes were also removed. And let me tell you one very important thing. The BJP does not have the majority in the Lok Sabha. Not tomorrow. If Chandrababu Naidu or Jayant Chaudhary or Paswan or Nitish, they try to help the BJP by getting the bill passed in the Lok Sabha, I'll tell you, the Muslims of the country will never forgive them for the act which they will be doing. Because see, this property belongs to Allah. This is donated. This is given to us in charity for the betterment of our Muslim community. There are mosques, there are graveyards, there are orphanages which belong to the Waqf. Now they want to usurp this property, so the Muslims are hurt. Why do they want to intervene into our media?
Varis, I'd asked that question to Khalid Rashidi ji also, that, why do certain people, certain political parties that, also mention the word Muslim in their names, believe that they can speak on behalf of the entire minorities? On my screens, I want to take certain graphics because these are important details that, ladies and gentlemen, will also help you understand that what is the timeline of this entire bill, the amendment bill. Now, there has been a sense, and Asif, you would agree with this, that a lot of people have been saying this is arbitrary. Suddenly, this bill has been got in, it has been thrown upon us, Muslims are aggrieved, we are being targeted, our autonomy will be taken away. But, Varis, I know that you're aware of this, but you don't want to talk about this. This is the entire timeline, right from the JPC to, the JPC interacting with multiple people, with multiple stakeholders, Asif, putting out its report, all that has happened. So, Asif, are you guilty right now of doing this only because it involves the minority community? Are you as guilty as the other side today?
You see, I being a Muslim myself, let me be very steadfast on this and let me put this record on straight that the parties that have been using the green flag to just, ensure the execution of their own agenda, that is no more considered very rational. And also let me submit to the people from the minority community that there have been more than 96 lakhs of memorandum that's been received. आप कहोगे आप ये मेमोरेंडम उन लोगों के पास जाइए लेकर जो इसके मुखालिफत में है, जो अक़लियतों को उसी गुरबा में और उसी गुरबत में रखना चाहते जिस अक़लियतों में बरसों से कांग्रेस से अन्य पार्टी ने रखनी चाहिए, तो ये भारतीय जनता पार्टी नहीं कर रही, ना होने देगी। मैं आपको ये बताना चाहूंगा। दूसरी बात मैं आपको ये बताना चाहूंगा, this bill that is now being tabled after the JPC, that's joint parliamentary session that's happened, you have already started the black flag. यही आपने तो मैंने कहा ना आपको, जब इसके पहले जो bills आए उसके लिए भी आपने यही किया. But let me tell you, Muslims have let me tell you that there have been consultations, there have been wider consultations that has been done, a comprehensive, व्यापक डिस्कशन के माध्यम से इस बिल को टेबल किया जा रहा है. आप चर्चा में तो शामिल होइए. आप पहले से झंडे और डंडे उठाकर आप पार्लियामेंट में खड़े होकर आप टंटा कर.
Okay, Asif, let Varis respond to that. Varis, at least are you open to a discussion, or you are so rigid that you will not even have a debate, not let people listen in through this entire clutter? Varis.
Well, our party president today has
yes.
stated so.
Okay, Asif, let's listen to Varis.
that if tomorrow the bill is introduced, they said that 8 hours discussion will take place. Our party says let the 12-hour discussion take place. We will be arguing on the point of this bill, which prove it before the entire nation in the parliament that the bill is anti-constitutional. It is against the constitution. It is a violation, total violation of the article in the constitution. And this bill is totally against the community, against the Muslim community. Why does the Modi government want to interfere into each and every activity of the Muslim? If tomorrow I say that we want to have some Muslims in the Hindu endowment board, will they allow? And here they go on saying that Muslims have got 9.5 acres of this Waqf land. So what? I will name 4 states in the country which has got more than 13 lakh acres of land belonging to them. So how they got acquired?
See, this is the problem, no, Varis. When you start seeing everything on a Hindu versus a Muslim lens, even if it is about reform, it is about triple talaq, you will tell people, oh, this is not good because Narendra Modi is doing it. When it is about UCC, again, it is not good because Narendra Modi is doing it. Is that a fair charge, Varis?
Madam, the intentions of the BJP are per se mala fide. Kindly try to understand what with the intention which they are getting the bill. Everybody knows that the intention is to usurp the property under the garb of getting a law, which is a draconian law.
Okay, Asif, we don't talk over each other, please. Let's listen to him.
Which takes away the property belonging to us.
Okay, I want to give the last word to Khalid Rashidi ji. And Khalid Rashidi, I want to ask you the same question I've been asking you and Varis also. That why do you believe that you speak on behalf of the minority community? Do you not want them to be empowered? Do you not want the marginalized Muslims? Do you not want the women to have a seat at the table? Why should that be problematic? Why is everything about religion?
See, there are many misconceptions that have been propagated through these proposed amendments. As far as women members are concerned, if you will look at the UP Waqf board, there are already 2 women members in the Waqf board. So to say that there are no women members in the Waqf board is completely false.
But that is tokenism, right? That is tokenism.
No, it's not tokenism. Kindly tell me how many women members are in parliament. How many women members are sitting in the government?
You should also ask Varis Pathan. No, he runs a political party.
How many women members?
Problem is everyone. No, for you this is just about numbers and statistics.
ये जो महिला विरोध सोच जो आप लोगों ने जो की है ना, जिससे चलते मुस्लिम अक़लियत की हमारी जो बहनें हैं इनको आप
नहीं, बहनों के लिए ट्रिपल तलाक की बात हुई तो आप सबने उसका भी विरोध किया, आपको ये याद होगा ना सर? ट्रिपल तलाक के खिलाफ भी आपने विरोध किया था. The same problem. Every reform will get stonewalled because you watch everything with the prism of religion. Only for what of time, gentlemen. I'm thanking you so much, but tomorrow is going to be a big day. And as always, NDTV is going to keep you on top of that entire story. And don't forget that this is also a story that involves a lot of layers. And this is the reason why when you look at a story like this, you need to be well aware of the kind of details, the nuances, what each side says, and what is it that every side wants to hide from you. And this is where Newsnight's spotting shot will help you declutter this entire noise. So what is the sum total of what you've seen and you've heard so far? Remember, you've heard a lot of points, a lot of passionate points that have been made essentially by all political representatives on the entire issue. But what is very, very clear is that, yes, this issue is deeply political. Tomorrow is going to be a new big day in the parliament, and the opposition's protests will continue to roar on. They've actually said we'll ensure that this bill does not see the light of the day. But the question still lingers. Why can't reforms find a welcome mat? When is it about reforms? Why don't people just welcome it? Must every debate, ladies and gentlemen, wear a quote-unquote a religious lens? Is that okay? Vote bank politics continues to thrive. There are political parties that only think and talk about vote bank politics. But who is cashing in? That is for you to find out. Right from triple talaq to an issue like the Waqf, every reform you would recall earlier has hit a roadblock. It does hit a wall. Who's rigid? When even, a country like Saudi Arabia, you would recall, decided to change. There were various reforms for women, something that had not happened in Saudi Arabia for the longest time. So you must debate the details, absolutely. But oppose reform itself? Because blocking reforms, ladies and gentlemen, is not progress. It is plain, simple paralysis. And that is the fault line that is splitting Bharat tonight. We'll see what happens tomorrow. Tomorrow's going to be a big day, and NDTV's rolling coverage will continue. Good night. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned.